So, Dr. Serhat, thank you so much for joining IDDTalks today.
Most welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. I want to start with a question about multipolarity in the modern world. It's not a secret that we have a very good relations with the neighboring countries, except of Armenia at the moment, especially our brotherhood with Turkey. Turkey is a big country; it's a member of NATO. Azerbaijan is a small country, but still now it's developing and. We can say that it already attracts a lot of attention from the global world on how the region will look like in a couple of years. Therefore, where do you see our two countries can work even more closely in this new changing geopolitical world to make sure that the region itself benefiting?
Sure. So the world order is undergoing some dramatic shifts, as we all know. So gone are the days when the U.S.-led unipolar world order set the rules of the game. We now see not only the biggest elephant in the room, China, which is set to become the largest economy in the world, and it already has in terms of purchasing power parity, but in other measures as well, but also countries or what we call middle powers or regional leaders taking initiatives and more sort of agency and claim a bigger role in the world system. Especially as the UN institutions have lost a bit of their popularity and their appeal in terms of bringing solutions to long-standing conflicts, trade disputes, or humanitarian disasters. Countries like ours are increasingly looking for their own ways to devise ad hoc alliances, or what we call minilaterals. The Organization of Turkic States is being a prime example of that. But coming down to our region, I think Turkey and Azerbaijan complement each other because Azerbaijan is a resource-rich country. It has tremendous endowments. Not only that, but also world-class infrastructure and a young, talented population. So it has competitive advantages. Turkey, on the other hand, has competitive advantages in terms of its skilled, private sector, a large, diversified economy, and know-how, especially in defense industry. It has, risen with a quantum leap to one of the top 10 places, as you probably know, in the list of arms exports and coming to a level where it can satisfy and meet most of its domestic armament requirements for security and defense. And so the two complement each other in that sense, pragmatically, to join forces and create more resilience against systemic shocks, such as rising tariff barriers, quotas, or other kind of disruptions to global trade, or against pandemics such as COVID. Or other disasters.
You touched a very important issue. Talking about the tariffs, since the time Donald Trump came to power and became the 47th president of the United States of America, he himself somehow challenged BRICS. And do you remember his statement?
Yes.
He said that if BRICS may decide to have its own currency, they will have some problems in their economic development. But despite the fact BRICS is developing quite fast, and there is a huge interest of the countries like China, Azerbaijan to be part of this new global economic order. So where do you see the perspective for this organization and how it can also benefit our countries?
I think BRICS has gained popularity due to grievances of countries in the global south for lack of agency and power to determine the terms of governance in the most widely known UN institutions, the prime one being the UN Security Council. So BRICS is a way for these countries to vent out and basically come together on a shared agenda to promote their interests with a common voice. So they pool their resources to basically find common areas of interest that they can collectively defend in the face of adverse currents or pressures from the more, let's say, hegemonic powers that try to dominate their terms and conditions on the rest of the world. So BRICS has a clear direction, which is to distribute the power in the world more evenly and have a more equitable global order. In that sense, I think Turkey and Azerbaijan have set the right course to apply for membership to BRICS Club. Yes, it still has a long way to go. For instance, to have a BRICS common currency or a central bank or reserve currency is still out of touch. I mean, we're not there. I mean, these discussions will probably go on for the foreseeable future. However, the direction is clear. The share of the US dollar has dropped from 75% down to 54%. China's share in global trade has risen dramatically. The US's share is only 25%. Let's not forget that US President Donald Trump's protectionist tariffs hit China the hardest. However, China is the country that's the most immune to them because the US share in Chinese exports is just 10%, which is just 4% of their GDP.
So it will definitely affect the US
Yes, it will actually come back and have a boomerang effect on the US economy itself rather than on China. So yes, there might be a temporary setback or a slowdown in adopting local currencies for bilateral trade among BRICS partners, but the direction is clear. There is a strategic vision for a member states to have more agency and voice in basically, let's say, putting their economy in a more compatible shape with the evolving world order into multipolarity. Rather than being stuck with just one dominant currency, the common agenda or the interest of all these parties is to diversify their partnerships and have access to different financial mechanisms for the rainy day, or if and when comes that they have alternative means, contingency plans to be able to continue doing business. So that's the major driving factor.
Talking about BRICS itself, China, Azerbaijan, Turkey, I cannot avoid the question about transport connectivity. Middle Corridor, One Belt, One Road, the project which is being supported actually by countries in Asia and also in Europe, despite the fact that time to time they're making some statements which is not actually clearly reflect the needs of the European Union to have these new transport links, which will definitely connect China, Central Asia, South Caucasus, and European Union. So how do you see this process is being developed within the next couple of years? What are the perspectives for the transport links, which will benefit everybody else to get enough financial support?
As we just come out of a panel that has the title and it, Keystone States, Azerbaijan is one such country that it just sits right in the middle of all these demand and production centers, Central Asia, Europe, Middle East, and has connectivity to the three seas: the Caspian Sea, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Black Sea. Right. So Azerbaijan is a pivotal state that can bring all these parties with a common interest to link the consumers and producers in most favorable terms, basically, for trade. Rather than going through intermediary parties, wasteful mechanisms of transfers, financial payments, and so on, Azerbaijan's vision as a keystone state, as a pivotal country, links these different regions together for a more comprehensive and long-term viable trade union, let's say. In the future, that might evolve into a Eurasian trade union. It's still a long way off, but there is a clear vision for it. So the Middle Corridor, you mentioned, that comes from China's, is based on China's Belt and Road Initiative, the One Road, One Belt initiative. And due to the maritime trade route through the south, vulnerable to attacks on the Red Sea and on the approaching waters to Gulf of Aden, and the drop in transit volume to Suez Canal and the high rates of insurance and so on. Much of it has been rediverted around the Cape of Good Hope through South Africa, which increases costs. So the only other alternative to it, considering that the route through Russia is also unfortunately closed due to the war in Ukraine, is the Middle Corridor, right, through the Caucasus. And that heightens Azerbaijan's importance and Turkey's importance as a bridge between these energy demand centers and consumer markets.
Right. Especially because Azerbaijan and Turkey already have a great experience of working.
Yes, in TANAP and TAP, yeah. But not only that, in terms of green energy as well. So this morning there was a discussion about, during His Excellency President Ilham Aliyev's talk of linking Central Asian states to Azerbaijan over green energy, through the Caspian. That's a great start. So we can, that can be a stepping stone to grow this kind of partnership into more productive means of not just linkages, but investments, cross-border investments into, for instance, foreign direct investment, like, for instance, the Masdar green energy firm in the UAE has done with SOCAR in Azerbaijan, to look for opportunities for wind, solar, hydropower, other opportunities that can reduce
looks
carbon
like
emissions.
Azerbaijan is working in both directions. From
Both
one side,
directions.
working with Central Asia, and
Central
another one,
and
there's
the Middle
another
East.
project connecting South Caucasus with
Yes.
the European Union.
So pooling in all these resources, investors, consumers, and resource providers in a single pot to bring the maximum out of it, the optimum sort of mix to have greater economic resilience. I think that's the main goal, right? In a volatile region where security interests and risks to it are running high, the prime thing that investors are looking for is what is going to happen down the road with my investment here in the ground on 10 to 15 years down the road. So I think to have that economic viability, but also to reduce political risk, which Azerbaijan has done a great achievement with, by being able to talk to all parties, everyone in the region, including your neighbor Armenia, by showing that it's you're in the process. And it shows that Azerbaijan comes with a positive agenda, right, as a constructive player, not some middle player who wants to block parties from achieving what they would otherwise wouldn't be able to. So I think it's important for Azerbaijan's national brand image to maintain that in their in their national identity,
Right.
As a connecting state.
Indeed. Well, thank you so much for joining our discussion.
Most welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.